Welcome back to the Daughter at Rise channel. My name is Yvonne and this channel is all about bringing you news and content surrounding childhood sexual abuse. I am myself somebody that society considers a survivor. That basically means somebody that has gone through a traumatic event such as sexual abuse that is basically still living here to tell the tale. Now I see myself as somebody that is more than a survivor, and that is why I'm able to come on this channel and share with you my experiences, things that I've been through, things that I found hard, in hopes of empowering and encouraging you on your own journey to healing. I also share news stories on this channel from survivors around the world to give voice to their stories and also to raise awareness of sexual abuse in the news. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you can be advised when I do any new uploads, and hit the thumbs up button if you like the content that I share. I do appreciate your support on this journey, and please share these videos with anybody that you know that has gone through sexual abuse or who is supporting somebody that has been through sexual abuse. So in today's video, I just want to share with you some good childhood memories that I have. Now, if you've come on this channel before, you know that I share a lot about the painful experiences that I had going through sexual abuse as a child. For those of you who don't know, I was sexually abused by my dad from the age of 9 to 13 years old. For 5 years of my life, this was a traumatic thing that had happened to me that really affected me and had taken me on a journey of healing and discovery over the next 30 years of my life. Now, I am somebody who I consider more than a survivor. I'm somebody who's successfully overcome many of the challenges that sexual abuse leaves behind. But you know, you can never forget about those experiences, and how I would describe where I am in my life in regards to my experiences is that those are really just deep scars, but they're no longer open wounds. So talking about my abuse no longer brings me back to a place of feeling triggered or upset, but it still sometimes hurts to think of the things that I had to go through. But that is why I'm able to share with you on this channel so openly, because I've gone through a healing process and that has helped me to be the person I am today. So the other day, I don't remember where I was, I think it might have been in a shop, when a certain song from the 80s came on the radio, and it kind of brought back some memories actually of my childhood. I'm not sure if it was like a Madonna song or something, but immediately I had a memory of a happier time in my childhood. And I just want to share with you today actually some of my childhood memories that I remember that were good memories. I think it's important for me to do this because I think that even though I share a lot of things that are quite sad and quite troubling, I do still have some memories pre-sexual abuse that were good. So my first good memory that I remember from my childhood is my school, which was called Joseph Tritton School in Battersea in London. Those of you who may know it, you know this school is an amazing school. My school was a real safe haven for me, even during the years when I was going through sexual abuse, like 9 years old upwards. I was at this school from the age of 4 years old to 11 years old, and then I went on to secondary school. But some of the things I remember about my school was playtime, running around with my friends, dancing around the hall, you know, sports day. I had some really amazing teachers and I just loved school. Everything about it was just so cool. There were times I got into trouble at school, running in the corridors, speaking too loudly in the library. The school dinners, I remember, you know, the custard. From primary school, I haven't even eaten custard again because custard is absolutely disgusting. But there were some school dinners that I really did used to love. I remember finding 2 goldfish in a pot in my estate where I lived in the playground, and we weren't allowed to keep it, me, my brother and sister. And I remember bringing it into school because the school had a fish tank with loads of fish in the corridor, and I gave it to the school and they put it in the fish tank, but I was allowed to name the fish, so I named them Salt and Pepper. But you know, school was just an amazing time. Even when I think about it now, it still brings back really good memories. I went on Facebook a couple of years ago to see if I could see anybody from Joseph Tritton School back then, and you know, I recognised a few people, and the school itself actually has now been knocked down and made into flats, which is a real shame. Growing up in the 80s, as I just mentioned, was such a cool time to grow up in. Even up to today, you know, I still love films like Mannequin, Mum for Christmas, all these types of Christmas films. We had The Goonies, we had so many different films growing up during the 80s. The music was really, really good. I liked a lot of pop growing up. You know, in our house, actually, my mum did play a lot of reggae. 80s for me really summed up friends, happiness, and sunshine up until a certain point of my life. We used to play out a lot on our estate. I lived on Winstanley Estate in Battersea, and you know, when I think about the 80s, I do think about the things that I've shared with you and the hot summers. I had roller skates, and you know, we'd go around skating. And if you know the chopper bikes from the 80s that had the gears, we used to play things like Knock Down Ginger, which, you know, we weren't supposed to be doing, knocking on people's doors, running away. You know, we just had real good fun. You know, ice cream van used to come and used to chime on the block, and we used to run down, ask our parents for money for ice creams. And yeah, it was just a really cool time to grow up in. Skating, knocking for friends, living life, playing with our toys. Sweet shop across the road used to do penny sweets where, you know, 20 pence would get you a lot of sweets back in the 80s. Another part of my childhood that formed the good memories was playing with my brother and sister. My brother and sister, you know, we were really like Tom and Jerry at times. We would fight at times and other times be like the best of friends. I was the oldest sibling, my brother was the middle child, and my sister was the youngest child. I remember one time me and my brother were fighting, and he got me so angry that I think I punched him or pushed him or something, and he fell on his pool table and it snapped in two. Yeah, we just had a lot of like fights at times, but at other times, you know, we got on really well, and I think that's normal with most sibling groups, you know, in families. Sometimes you love each other, sometimes you get on each other's nerves. My sister used to like to eat lots of biscuits and have biscuits in her pockets. She always used to have crumbs in her pockets because she used to like to eat lots of biscuits. She used to suck her thumb a lot. My brother, you know, used to suck his tongue, and the tag in the back of your clothes, he used to twiddle around with it, or your ears. They were really adorable. I used to love waking up on Christmas morning with my brother and sister. We used to do some terrible things. You know, when we were told to go to bed, we'd go to bed, but then we used to try and get up like 2, 3 in the morning to sneak downstairs under the tree to have a look at our presents, or try and peep to see what our presents were. Christmas Eve, we never could sleep. You know, we would always be so excited about what we'd get for Christmas. Christmases were a big part of my happier times in my childhood. It was bittersweet, you know, it started off really with good memories, and then as it got towards the later years when I was going through my abuse, it became quite a sad time for me. But the good times I remember was the presents and the Christmas mornings of my mum getting up and cooking a traditional Jamaican kind of breakfast with hard dough bread and plantain. And it's a shame, you know, because we don't have a relationship now. I'm forever thankful for the memories and times that I had with them growing up. And talking about my mum's cooking, as I just mentioned about the Christmas breakfasts, my mum's cooking could not be matched. Growing up in the 80s, some of the good memories I have of my family is my mum's cooking. My mum could turn her hand to absolutely anything. You know, this woman could cook absolutely anything. You know, she made quiches from scratch, she made toad in the hole, she baked bread, and I used to remember her when she used to bake bread. She used to put it, we used to have like under the stairs in the front room a heater that you could open a door, and she used to bake the bread and put it in the tin, put a tea towel over it and just rest it in the heater so that it could rise. My mum could cook anything. I remember her dinners, her cakes was amazing. You know, she made the traditional Jamaican cakes with the sherry and the rum in it, with cherries, raisins in it. You know, my mum made the best cakes. Hands down, my mum made the best cakes. And even little things she used to do, like, it's something I mentioned in my autobiography, Daughter Arise, where she used to give us ice cream and she used to put like little raisins in it and a little bit of rum, you know, to make rum and raisin ice cream. She was very, very inventive with food, and actually I make cakes now with my daughter. Admittedly, I haven't made cakes a lot lately, so back from next week I'm going to start to do a bit more baking with my daughter. And it's a real pleasure for me to bake for my daughter because, you know, on her birthday I made her butterfly cakes and chocolate muffins, and you know, I love to bake and I do love to cook, and it's something I want to do more of. But that love for it, that passion for it, came from seeing my mum and how she cooked. There was nothing that she cooked that I didn't like, apart from liver. I didn't like liver. Liver is a disgusting food. Cow foot, all this fish head, all those type of Jamaican traditional kind of foods I just did not like. But everything else my mum used to cook, I used to love. When I was in care, one of the meals that I definitely knew how to make, and I didn't know how to make a lot of things, was stuffed marrow, where you had a marrow and you stuffed it with mince and garlic and tomatoes. My mum used to make it so amazingly, and she made curry chicken. As you can tell, that was a good childhood memory for me, was my mum's cooking. My nan's house was bittersweet for me. As I mentioned, it was part of my childhood growing up. It was part of those summers of playing out, skating, knocking for friends. It was part of all of that. But obviously towards 9 years old upwards, that's where a lot of my abuse took place, in my nan's house. But before that, my nan's house, I used to love going over there. We weren't really allowed to go lots of places, and we weren't really allowed to go to people's houses, but we were allowed to go to my grand's house, you know. We used to go over there. My gran used to cook her foods and stuff like that. She was an excellent seamstress. She used to make us doll clothes out of her old dresses. And you know, at the time as a child, I didn't appreciate that. But now when I think back to the little things that make up part of my childhood, I did appreciate that. I do remember having fond memories of jumping on her sofas and getting chased at the house by her. And when we were young, York Gardens, which was on Winstanley Estate, was a part of my good childhood memories. So I remember when things like Bonfire Night, Guy Fawkes Night. If you don't know what that is, traditionally over here they have something called Guy Fawkes, which basically is a night where they have fireworks, where they let off fireworks. And when we were younger, York Gardens used to put on displays of fireworks, and they also used to have a bonfire, and everybody could bring their own potatoes to put on the bonfire to make their own jacket potatoes. And I remember my mum used to take them off. She used to take us over there, me, my brother and sister. She used to take them off and used to put butter in them, and they were just so delicious. And that was really a good memory of my childhood. I remember it used to be dark, but it was really exciting because the bonfire would be lit and the fireworks and everything, you know, and that was absolutely amazing. And lastly, one other memory I remember from my childhood is music nights. I don't know if you had this in your family growing up in the 80s. There used to be a certain night on the weekend, maybe a Friday night or a Saturday night, where your parents would put on music. I remember the old record players. We used to have the records which were played at 33 or 45. We used to get the small ones. We used to have to put the thing in the middle, or used to have the big records that you just put on a record player. My parents used to love to play music and have a little drink. And you know, I remember dancing around with my brother and sister. I remember UB40. I remember Tina Turner. I remember Bob Marley were records that were played in our house. Janet Kay. Played a lot of 80s soul growing up as well. So, you know, music nights were a big part of my family growing up. And these things that I'm sharing with you, I'm just sharing because I want to be able to acknowledge everything that has happened within my own childhood. You know, I don't want to let the bad things of my childhood ruin the good things that I remember, like school and the memories that I've shared with you.